pay attention to your audience, let your light shine. What's for you will be for you, with the real ones rooting for you. Just let your energy introduce. Let's say you know why. So we'll worry about that next man's try. Try to match up on next man's life. Fix your life, and as soon as I start working hard, you want to make something must be wrong, your man. I don't come here for that, all you help me. One and dirty, I'm not telling you. I'm telling you nothing they do will never defeat me. This destiny, I'm telling you. Take your hand and point it up in the ceiling for me, please. I'm telling you, number one, we don't come to take nothing from me. I'm telling you, some people, music, look everybody chanting. I'm telling you, people, this is why we come bring me blessings. I'm telling you, don't corruption, that's so help people can be missing. I'm telling you, we are still pumping. Yes, it shall run things. We happy time to let it show. Make a transition up on your road. Lift the chin up, free up and head up. We have some blessings before we head out. Before we leave here, we have to yell out. I'm telling you, nothing they do will never defeat me. Because show me your destiny. I'm telling you, take your hand and point it up in the ceiling for me, please. I'm telling you, number one, we don't come to take nothing from you. I'm telling you, happy people, music, look everybody chanting. I'm telling you, pumping people, this is why we come bring me blessings. I'm telling you, don't corruption, that's so help people can be missing. Nothing they do, I say nothing they do will never defeat me. Oh yeah, nothing they do will never defeat me. I tell you.
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. A special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Al Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook or it's on YouTube. A very special good morning to all of you. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada, and I'm your host for today, Miss Duncan. And with me in studio, I have none other than our General Secretary, the man himself, Mr. Roland Bowler. Good morning, Mr. Bowler.
Good morning to you, Miss Duncan, and of course, Grenada. I am here. Grenada, good morning. Good morning to everyone, wherever you are and listening to us by whatever means you can. We are happy to have you tuned in. We are happy to be here to bring you information that is reliable, information that is credible, information that we would have researched and make sure that they're factual. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Miss Duncan, for having me on air with you today.
Absolutely, you're always welcome, but I find every time I had to bring you, I had to do a significant amount of begging. I hope y'all hearing me, to get him to come and sit here with me more than once a week.
Miss Duncan, that is not begging, it's called negotiation. You know? I mean, everybody does. The unions negotiate with government. The workers negotiate with the union to get more. I mean, I need more. If you want me to be on air with you more than one day per week, we have to come to some common ground, some common understanding.
All right.
It's called negotiation.
So further negotiation is needed.
It's needed. Yeah, and that's what you don't want to accept.
All right, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. But of course, we are grateful to be here. We are thankful to be here. We are always happy to share with you information that is necessary for your edification.
Of course, that's it. For the edification.
Edification. And of course, we are only human. So even though we share information with you and you feel like it's not 100% what it should be, I mean, you are welcome to challenge us. We are always open to learning, right? So we invite you, and that's why we open conversation. That's why we like to hear from you, because a conversation can't just happen if it's just me alone talking, eh? It happens if we are all involved. And that's how we grow and we develop, and things happen when we all participate in conversation. You know?
Just one correction, Miss Duncan.
Tell me.
You really can have a conversation with yourself. So conversation can happen with you alone talking. What you don't have is communication. When no one is listening or no one is giving you a
Is
feedback.
giving you a feedback.
Right? But
I
you
mean, I
can,
could give myself feedback. You know,
but
I think it's classed under something else.
something different. Yeah. That is not conversation. That is not communication. That is something totally
It
different.
starts with C also.
Yeah, but it's suited for a house they normally call the Pink House over by Steele's Auto somewhere in River Road. So
Absolutely. But of course, I have to give you your daily update. And I think emotions are yet again very high, Mr. Bola, as it relates to the coronavirus. I know we are all concerned. And I think we've been through, or we should have already been through that. There are stages and processes of emotion, when things happen. And I think we've gone past the place where we are now moving away from the emotional responses and looking, or at least I hope, and looking more for fact-based information to guide our decisions, because if we were to do everything based on response, it would be a lot of chaos and confusion and a lot of negative repercussions, So we definitely have to make prudent decisions based on facts and not based on the emotions of individuals. So with that being said, let me just quickly give you an update as it stands this morning on the coronavirus. Currently, we are at 82,588 cases worldwide so far. And of that 82,000 cases, there has been 2,814 reported deaths and 33,316 recoveries. Now, I just want to make a quick mention that 82,000 is broken in half. We have the active cases, which means cases that are still people who are still currently suffering with symptoms of the coronavirus. And then we have the closed cases, which are the recoveries and the deaths. So there has been 36,000 closed cases. That means people have recovered or have passed away as a result of the virus. Now, 92% of the cases that have been closed have resulted in recovery. Right? 92% of the closed cases have recovered from the virus. So that's 33,316 people have recovered. And only 8% of the closed cases have resulted in death, which is only 2,814 cases of death. Now, 46,458 active cases, meaning that there are currently 46,458 people suffering symptoms of the coronavirus. In that number, 37,987 have mild conditions, which means that there is about a 95% chance of them recovering fully from the virus. Now, there is 8,471 people who are in serious or critical condition. Now, we have to keep in mind that this 8,000 is coming from the 46,000 active cases, and not because they are in critical or serious condition means that they will die as a result of the virus. So these are things that we are to consider. But moving forward, there are 50 countries and territories that are currently affected as a result of the coronavirus. 78,000 of the 82,000 cases came from China. Of the 2,814 deaths that we have had worldwide, 2,747 of them have been in China alone. We have had deaths elsewhere, 13 in South Korea, 4 on the cruise ship, the Diamond Princess, 14 in Italy, 26 in Iran, 4 in Japan, 2 in Hong Kong, 1 in Taiwan, 2 in France, 1 in the Philippines. Yep, and that's about it as it relates to death. Of the 33,000 recoveries that we have had, 32,000 of them are in China also. So as much as they have had a lot of cases, they've also had a lot of recoveries. The majority of the reported recoveries are coming from China. Now, there are countries who have had cases of the coronavirus, right? And have had full recoveries of all of their cases, and none have resulted in death. So we have places like Sri Lanka, Nepal, Egypt, Cambodia, Belgium, Russia, India, the Philippines, Vietnam. Vietnam has had 16 cases of the coronavirus, and all 16 of their cases have recovered fully from the virus. So that leads me to this, Mr. Bola. I am of the firm belief that it is proper management of the virus that allows for its containment.
Or it's or mismanagement would allow to its spread. Or bad management. Or non-management. Altogether.
Now, the question remains, what is considered good management? Now, a lot of people have opinions of what they believe that the government should do, right? What they believe should be done, whether we should lock the country down and not allow anyone from anywhere in the world to travel to Grenada. A lot of people are of the perception that that will save us from having to deal with the virus. But in my view, and this is my personal opinion, now we will never know if Grenada is 100% ready for the virus until we are faced with having to deal with a case of the virus. Now, this is not me saying that we should allow the virus to come to the country so we know if we're ready. That would just be ridiculous. But I'm saying that we all have our opinion on what we believe readiness is, on what we believe that the government should be doing or should have done to prevent the virus from coming, or to ensure that the population is safe as a result of the virus. But we will really never know if we are ready. So there are a lot of people out there going around saying that we don't have proper protocols, or that our protocols are poor, or that we are not ready to face the virus, or we do not have proper mechanisms in place to deal with the virus. But they cannot make that judgment because we have not been faced with a case.
That's fair.
We have nothing to weigh it against.
Okay. And you're right in your analogy, Ms. Duncan. Now, I really do hope and pray, and I think there are hundreds, probably thousands of Grenadians that pray daily that we never get a case. And I really do hope that the good Lord will continue to shower his blessings and protection upon this nation, that we never get a case. Yeah. So that's one. Secondly, Ms. Duncan, people are entitled to opinions. And, I respect the fact that people express what they think should happen and what shouldn't happen, what should be, what shouldn't be, and all of those things. This is a matter of opinion, and it is their right. What we have to establish is that management and proper management doesn't come about by everybody making their own noises. You've said we'd only know how ready we are if we ever get a case. I hope we never do, but as people say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Yeah. That's when you would know, were we really, really, really ready? Yeah. So, but that's something that I hope we'll never have to decide on by getting a case. Yeah. A government was elected in office, right? There are ministers, there are personnel in various ministries, and in this case, Ministry of Health bears the blunt of almost everything as it relates to the coronavirus. Right. There are many other ministries that cross borderlines. So national security, they have a role to play in terms of ensuring that our borders and our inlets and so are well protected, so that people do not come into the country illegally, unknowing, without registration, without going through the normal ports of entry. Now, you also have places like customs and port authority and airport authority that has a very significant and important role to play in helping us to protect ourselves and to ensure that we don't get a case because of the protocols that they must follow. So yes, health, but health along with all of these people. You also have, for example, international business and trade, because they would be the ones that will be making contact with business people, with investors, those who come, those who go, when they come, when they go. The hotel and tourism sector, they also play an important role. Even fisheries division. So, for example, while you have some people saying, well, lock down the country, no vessels should come in, no aircraft should come in, because now 50 countries around the world. First they said China, now we have banned direct flights from China. But look, there are 50 other countries. The United States itself have several cases. I don't know.
60 cases.
60 cases overall.
Yeah.
Europe, England, Canada, Japan. So are we saying close down all 50 countries where you say, don't allow any aircraft, any vessel, any travel from these places? But here's what, this is an international world, right? So we say no traveling from the US because they have 60 cases recorded at the moment, right? But what if someone from the US travels to Barbados? Because Barbados don't have a lockdown on the US.
Yeah.
And from Barbados transship to Grenada.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not as clear and as easy as we say it,
yes.
right? But another thing came to mind. We have our fishing vessels and fishermen who go there daily, out into the ocean, okay? So when we say we lock down, we want nobody here. Are we going to stop them from going out into the ocean? Because they do from time to time. I don't think it's an everyday thing, and I don't think it's normal that they will just stop on the ocean and speak to other fishermen. But they do meet from time to time. Sometimes they go way beyond our geographical boundary lines, and they come into contact with other fishermen. They exchange things. It has been reported that sometimes they even conduct business on sea, selling of the catch and so on sea. What if they do business with someone out there who has the disease or contracted the disease? They come back home, not as a suspect, not being checked, not being seen by any health official. So there are diverse ways in which, even if you're locked down all travel, that we can still do it. So what you're saying is that we have to isolate ourselves entirely from the entire world. So our fishermen can't go out there, no one can come in, our borders are closed. How do we survive? We are a net input country. We do grow some food, but we depend highly. 70% or more of the foods that we consume, almost all of our daily products are imported. So there must be outside contact. Now, that's just a broad explanation of it. However, though, I think what is necessary for us, and we have discussed that on this program before, is to listen to the authorities. Now, up until now, they have not found a cure or a vaccine for the virus. There are a number of things that are being tried and tested. There have been some level of success with some. So, for example, the blood transfusion or the plasma transfusion for those who have recovered, taking platelets and plasma from them and putting it into still people who are still infected, and they have had some degree of success with that. I read about 2 weeks ago of a drug that was first produced in Cuba that they use on AIDS patients, that they have been testing it and trying to mass manufacture it in China now under authority or licensing from the Cubans, that they said they have had some success, but they cannot yet say that it is foolproof and it is the best thing for the virus. So they are testing, they are trying. But outside of that, we have been advised from day one by the health practitioners, by the people who should know, by the specialists, that what we need is better hygiene. We need to wash our hands regularly. We need to observe the people that we are in contact with once they have any flu-like symptom, because that's how the virus attacks. It comes on as the flu, that we should stay away from them. And those who contract any kind of flu, that they should have good, what I commonly call flu manners. Cover your nose and your mouth when you're sneezing, when you're coughing. Turn away from crowd. Do not do it in the faces of people, because that is one of the known ways of spreading the virus, whether it's the flu, whether it's corona, whatever you may have. Yes, that we need to sanitize our places where we live, where we work, where, just keep things in a sanitized way. Our buses, when we travel, we need to have good etiquette in the way we sneeze, the way we talk. We don't talk up to people's face. These are the things that will ensure that should God lot it, we get one case or two cases in Grenada, we may be able to contain and control. Now, all the hysteria about the government want money and they bring in, and, all sorts of noises that are being made, these things do not solve the problem. And management does not come by emotions. You have to sit, you have to be calm, you have to assess every situation. You have to take it point by point, blow by blow. What should we do should this be the case? As opposed to, if that is the case, what are the protocols that we follow? Because as things changes, your approach and your management of the situation has to change. Our foreparents always said the noise in the market is not the sale. A marketplace is generally noisy. But the persons that have the produce for sale have to keep a calm and calculated head. And so it is that the government of Grenada, and especially the Ministry of Health, must keep a calm and calculated head. And kudos to them. They have done well thus far. They always give updates. And I mean, I'd like to call on him this morning, the PR in the Ministry of Health, Mr. Kevin Frederick. I've heard him on several different programs and radio stations, giving information, not only as it relates to Grenada, but to the region and the rest of the world. The fact that they have an organization among themselves regionally where all of the health professional PR people will communicate on a daily basis, hour by hour, giving whatever info they have to one another, that the ministers of health of the region has been meeting, and that the necessary protocols are being followed. What is left to be done is for the people of this country. I love the region in particular, because so far the sub-region has not yet recorded any case. Yeah. And I hope that they don't. We are so small, closely knitted, interact with each other on a daily basis. Liat flies from one Caribbean island to the next daily, maybe 3-4 times per day. In most countries, we have flights going in and out. And so if any one of these small islands do contract, chances are it can easily spread throughout the sub-region. Yes? Yeah. So, as a people, the time has come. All of the hysteria, and from the moment when we heard about the virus and everybody was worried, oh, the world is going to end, and so much this, and the Chinese, and the Chinese, and the Chinese. By now, most of us should be able to decipher fact from fiction. Not all that easy, especially for the unknown. Especially for the people who have not been following this thing from the onset, may see or hear something now that may still jump out at them. But we keep saying to you, verify what you see and what you hear. The health authorities are there. Ask a question. Make a call. Sometimes I hear people call on some of the calling programs, and they do not say, look, I saw something, I read something, I saw something on Facebook, and I want to verify. Is there anybody out there who can tell me whether this is true or not? Yeah. But you call and you speak about it as though it's factual, that you know for a fact, you know, that you have this credible information. It's something you saw. Is it true? I mean, everybody now with a smartphone or a computer or a tablet just goes out there and make videos and put all kinds of things up. I mean, there's so much fake and misinformation and libelous things that are being said. But you know what strikes me the hardest is when people who I believe within our country should know better goes about doing those things. Yep. It leaves me and a lot of us with only one conclusion, that there is a different objective that they are aiming to achieve at the end of the day. And that objective must be political. So they are prepared to destroy the good name of the country. They are prepared to tackle the individual, Dr. Kit Mitchell, to the point where they couldn't care less as to how many people they frighten, how many people who may die of a heart attack as a result of the libelous information that they put out. Yeah. They couldn't care that the rest of the world is now going to look down on Grenada as a country where there is total chaos and nothing good is happening. They couldn't care anything about that because in their opinion, they believe by falsifying the information, by creating hysteria, by getting people agitated, is going to work to their benefit. It's going to fit and going to cause the cause that they think they're fighting is going to become a reality. I'm saying to our Grenadian people, have faith in your authorities. Now, I cannot sit here and say that the authorities are in a position to prevent corona from coming to Grenada. But I know for a fact that they're following every bit of protocol that they should. to, as much as they can, prevent it. But like we say, 50 different countries now have had cases. How can we tell the difference? They're doing what they should be doing at the ports of entry. They're testing people. The fact is that the rest of the world say anyone with, between 38 and 39 degrees Celsius in terms of the body temperature is someone that you need to keep a close look at. In here in Grenada, they put 38 as the standard mark. They don't go 38 point. They say once you over 38, they look at you as a potential. They'll either quarantine you or have the health people give you a second check or ask you to go into self-isolation, as the case may be. They are doing what they're supposed to do. Yes? And we now must follow through and do what we are supposed to do. Instead of jumping around, that doesn't bring any solution. Instead of making accusations, instead of cursing the Prime Minister and the government and the health workers and the doctors and the ministers, that is not a solution. No. That is not a preventative method. That is just us being silly and following people who has one objective, up their sleeves. And of course the time will come. Elections is what should change government. And if we don't want to wait to do it by the ballot, then we do it by the bullet. We pick up the gun, right? Which I'm not advocating that people should do, because we have done it in Grenada before and we saw what the end result was. For those of us who are senior and old enough to know the history of the revolution and its demise. Yes? The point I'm making here is, if we are so concerned about our country as some of us want to prove, if we are so concerned about being protected from the coronavirus and whatever other viruses that may be out there, if we are so concerned about the safety and protection of the Grenadian people, we will go on air, we will go on Facebook, we will go wherever, and we'll do the correct thing. Inform and encourage people to do what is right, instead of falsifying information and creating fear in the minds of people. That will not bring protection. What will bring protection is when we say to people, look, eat the right food. In fact, they had informed very early. They said, look, have better balanced diet. If you were not a person who were eating well before, start eating so you can boost your immune system, your colored foods. Eat that. Drink lots of water. Keep your body hydrated. Exercise. Get sufficient rest. Reduce your intake of alcohol. Sleep for longer hours. If you are sleeping 5 hours, try to get 7 hours sleep now per night. So your body will be well ready. Your immune system will be boosted. Take in your vitamins, your vitamin C and your D and your B and whatever. Use some supplements. Speak to your family. Have a plan. Stay away from masks. All of these things are what we were told we should do that will help us. Even if we should contract, hopefully not, our bodies will be at a stage where we can fight the virus. Look, in Vietnam, 16 people contracted. All 16 of them were killed. Not one death. And it had not spread because the authorities was able to contain those who had it. They were able to treat them, not because they have a cure. There's no cure in Vietnam. There's no cure anywhere around the world. But proper hygiene, eating well, getting sufficient rest, keeping your body hydrated, reduction in the intake of alcohol, all of those things, they did it and they were able to recover. And now Vietnam is clear. They had 16 cases. They no longer have. Why can't we in Grenada go along the same pathway, as opposed to all these rumors about playing load of Chinese and creating so much hysteria and having there are Chinese nationals in this region, full-blood Chinese, who have never seen the land of China.
Of course. Because
Trinidad, for example, decades and decades and decades ago, there had been Chinese who had moved into Trinidad, who had set up business, who had made Trinidad their homeland, who have offsprings, generations, who are Chinese by descent, but has never ever been to China. And we scorn and scoff at these people. They are more West Indian. They are more like us in terms of the fact that they were born and bred here, of Chinese descent. So we have to be careful what we do and how we do our things. Let's concentrate on what is essential for our safety and security.
You know what's funny, Mr. Bola? in recent times, there has been a lot of chatter online. People doing live videos, and I think social media has given people the false impression that because they can speak, it means that they are an expert on what governments must do and what people must do. And we must be careful in the information that we share and in the information that we allow other people to believe. So I looked at a live video last night of an individual who lives in the US. Now, it was very funny to me. It was very disturbing. I had a mixture of emotions because this individual is sitting in a country where 60 people have the virus, where 83 persons have been quarantined in addition as a result of the virus. But you want to tell Grenada, who has no case of the virus, who probably would never get a case of the virus, who has all of their plans and procedures in place to ensure that the virus does not reach our shores, how they must manage the coronavirus. How are you not on social media telling the government of the governing bodies of the United States of America that they were reckless and they are endangering the lives of people when they removed people who had the virus from a boat in Japan and brought them to America? No, because you cannot do that. Simply because you are living in another man's country, supporting people who would not benefit your home country, but you want to tell your home country how they must manage themselves.
But you see, if they were just telling us how to manage and giving us good examples, was one. But most of them are there cursing the government and the Prime Minister, saying that he's reckless and endangering people's life with absolutely no facts. The people who are endangering your life, first and foremost, they went into China when the outbreak and removed all the students from China. That is the US. Now, they have the capacity. They went in with as far as I understand it, military aircraft and so, right? But when that boat was quarantined outside of Japan in the water, saying that they have found cases on the boat and that the people should remain there for the duration of time, the same US government took a decision to relieve the people that were of U.S. nationality from that boat where there was certain
that they were
there's information, there was positive proof that people on that vessel had the coronavirus. Brought them into the U.S. and so far about 18 of those people.
18. As of yesterday, have been tested
positive for the. No, you don't say to the people there. You didn't say to the Trump administration or to your senator or whichever state council. Look, you have recklessly endangered the life of the American people. You got to keep shut because the CIA or FBI or somebody might be knocking your door the next minute. Yeah. But there you are proud and bold to say that Kit Mitchell and the NNP is recklessly endangering the life by doing what?
And you are most likely going to contract the coronavirus where you are, worried about the people who are here, or claiming to be worried.
Not worried at all.
Claiming to be worried about the people who are here, who are more safe than you are. But you can't condemn the American government, no, because if you do that, they are a bigger power. They are a higher power. You know, you can't go on social media and
smash you harder.
Exactly. But no, you want to. And it just goes to show that their concern is not a concern for their family members. Their concern is born out of a hate for an individual or an institution. So they would say anything and do anything that would make that individual or make that institution look like they are not doing what they're supposed to do to protect Grenada, or that they are incapable of managing the country. And they would go at any lengths, even mislead.
Well, that's all they're doing because they want the people to get angry. But, you know, there's another challenge that we need to throw there. Now, these experts on management and how to manage crisis situation. Why is it that when an election comes around, they never come forward and offer themselves up with all of the expertise, all of the skills and knowledge they have in management? They know how to run country. They know how to manage health crisis situation and everything. And say to the people, hey, here I am. These are my expertise. Vote me into office, and I will better manage your health situation. I will better manage a crisis situation. I will better manage the economy of Grenada, because these are the things that I'm qualified in. Here are my expertise. You don't see them. You don't hear them. But they're very good at condemning. And I am not saying that people do not have the right to challenge the administration. Of course, you must. When you see and you know for a fact that this administration or a particular minister or a particular section of the government has done something that is contrary to the law or contrary to the protocols that they should follow. Challenge, of course, by all means. Bring forward the relevant information, because none of us, not me, and I don't think any one of the ministers, believe that they are the repository of all knowledge. I don't think there's a public servant that believes that they knows everything that has to be done. Of course, we're all going through a learning curve, and if there are people who knows better than us or who have seen a solution that is much better than our solution, and they come forward, we are always willing to listen. But you never come forward advising, you always come condemning. Tell me how you will do it different and how you will do it better.
You know, what I want people to understand, and it's something that I've been speaking about for a while, and I'll continue to reiterate on that very important point. Now, we never know, we will never know, we have no foresight as to where the virus is going to come from if it comes to our shores.
Absolutely.
We cannot say that it's going to come from China because we have travel restrictions on China. So no one from China, unless it is a Grenadian national, is allowed to enter our shores. Now, let me just list the countries, the possibilities for you. There's South Korea, there's Italy, there's Iran, there's Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, the USA, Kuwait, Thailand, Bahrain, Taiwan, Germany, Australia, Malaysia, France, Spain, the UK, the United Arab Emirates, Canada, Morocco, Iraq, Oman, Switzerland, Austria, Croatia, Greece, Israel, Finland, Lebanon, Pakistan, Sweden, Afghanistan, Algeria, Brazil, Denmark, Estonia, Georgia, and North Macedonia. Oh, there's more. Norway and Romania. Now look at the list. Now, the reason I call that list, let's say, okay, Grenada has a travel restriction on any of these countries here listed. That's all well and good. We feel safe, we feel secure. Now, if Grenada puts a travel ban, Trinidad doesn't put one, Barbados doesn't put one, Jamaica doesn't put one, meaning that these people are free to travel to any of these countries.
These are the islands, yes.
Our risk is still high because it can come from someone in the region who has traveled to these countries. You understand? So there's no real way to say, that means now that the world must shut all of their borders and everybody stay in their own country. Yeah. This is what Grenadians are inadvertently asking the world to do.
It's some Grenadians. Please,
some.
Let's qualify.
Some, because, definitely not me, so some.
Some Grenadians.
This is what you are inadvertently asking the world, because when you make this kind of demand on the Grenadian government, it is not just singular to Grenada. You are asking now the world to close their borders so that we Grenadians don't get affected.
Well, effectively, they have not said the word. Those who are of that opinion, and probably those who are unaware and uninformed, believes that if Grenada closes its airport, closes its seaport, then nothing, or close to these countries, then nothing could come to us. But it's not that easy. And that's why we say, leave the management to people who are suited and qualified for it. It is not the noisemakers. the noise in the market. It's not carnival, you know. It's not carnival. It's not about drumming and jumping. It's about people with calm head continuously getting information from the experts, which are the WHO, the World Health Organization, PAHO, Pan American Health Organization, you know, and other regional bodies, right? Like CARFA and the others. And they continue on a daily basis to assess. It is leaving it up to Dr. Martin and others who are within the Ministry of Health, and the people are in the infectious disease control area, to our nurses and our health officials and the people on the front line.
Yeah.
Right? I know for a fact that presently one of the better equipped regional countries to deal with isolation and deal with these things are Cuba. Right? Cuba has an institute. Cuba was front and Cuba was one of the number one countries in the region that prepared and trained their people when the Ebola outbreak came around, right?
Yeah.
And so that institute still exists. I know from sources that the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is presently communicating, negotiating, and trying to get some of these officials and experts from Cuba to come into Grenada to further train those who are trained already and working on the front line, to put implement and implant in them new tips and new ideas, right? And then to train others. We may want to send some to Cuba, but it would be easier and we'll have much more people trained if they come.
If they come here.
So that isn't trained. They're working on it. But things don't just happen overnight.
And that's what we fail to understand.
There are negotiations that must go through. There are certain contractual arrangements that must be made. So the government is working and the Ministry of Health is working. So for those who do not know, and they don't ask a question, they don't go to the relevant people and say, look, I have a concern as a media person or as a person living outside of Grenada or someone living in Grenada. What are we doing about A, B, or C? Rather than do that, we just jump on social media or call a program and say, oh, nothing is happening. There's nothing in place. So, for example, when the leader of the National Democratic Congress made the point on an interview that she was doing, that it is time the government get the necessary equipment to set up on the airport, meaning that the thermometers and so weren't there. She was totally unaware that since the era of the Ebola that was set up, because they have not seen anybody standing in front of people with a little piece of mechanism
and a
testing
hazmat suit
as you go along. Didn't realize that it was set up with the security camera system, and that as people passed through, the photos were being taken as well as the temperature was being read, and that there was a control room where qualified medical people were sitting and observing and had the ability to stop and to pull in if needs be, because they had a temperature reading that was above the 38 degrees Celsius. They did not know that, right? And some people might say, well, how are we going to know if you don't tell us? But these are not things that the government have to go about, or the Ministry of Health has to go about saying to everyone, oh, well, we have a camera set up, we have this. These are internal controls that they must do. And so you must at least have some trust in your people.
You do.
But you know, Ms. Duncan, there's something that I think you and I both saw that is necessary. I think that we should tell the listeners about, because to me, I think there are some misconceptions about that newscast that we need to just unfold for people.
Well, let me play it first so that those listening can hear exactly what it is we're speaking about, and then I will. Let me get it played here for you, for those listening.
Honorable Clarence Modis-Cohen, that despite the global threat of the coronavirus, there is not a need for a total travel ban. During an exclusive interview with the MTV News team, the minister said that they are guided by regional and international bodies with regards to making certain decisions for the tourism sector. The minister went on to say that the total travel ban is not necessary at this time. However, if a total travel ban was to be implemented, it could seriously affect our tourism sector.
It would affect us very, very seriously. It would affect our economy in general, because tourism is a very significant economic contributor to our revenues in the country. And individually, a lot of people from different service sectors in our country, the taxi drivers, the tour operators, even the persons who are self-employed with crafts and so on. There are a number of persons who would be severely negatively impacted.
However, the deputy leader of GEM, during an exclusive phone interview with MTV on Friday, said that the loss of revenue should not be a deciding factor to determine whether or not there should be travel restrictions, as the repercussions could be much worse.
The cost of treating patients with the coronavirus, should there be an outbreak of the disease in Grenada, would be a lot more than having travel restrictions and losing revenue from tourism. If our population becomes affected by this virus, we'd have a reduction in the number of persons able to go out to work every day. We'd have additional strain on our limited health resources, and we would have a huge financial burden, which I'm pretty sure would be a lot more than the losses in revenue.
She does not believe that the Ministry of Health and Hospital Services is adequately prepared to deal with an outbreak of the coronavirus, and the information regarding the island's readiness is misleading.
I think that the Ministry of Health should reassess the situation and look at the facilities in the hospital. We already have limited beds for patients as it is. Should we have to treat even one patient with coronavirus, where would they be? I really doubt there's any way to quarantine a patient in the general hospital, let alone have the required protective gear for healthcare workers who would be treating them. So I think that the tourism minister is definitely attempting to mislead the public on the level of preparedness Grenada has to handle an outbreak of the virus.
The Ministry of Health has implemented a number of screening and surveillance mechanisms at the various points of entry on island and has successfully quarantined 4 Grenadians returning from China as a precautionary measure. The tourism minister also indicated in a previous newscast that despite they had been guided by regional and international bodies with regards to making decisions such as the implementation of a travel ban, Grenada and other countries in the region can make their own individual decisions to impose restrictions if the need arises. Reporting for MTV News.
All right, that was a news broadcast that was done yesterday. Now, the reason we're bringing this up is because there was a lot of public outcry. A lot of people, again, in their feelings, making comments along the line of, oh, the ministers don't care about anybody, they care about money. Now, I would like to know if when a tourist boat comes into Grenada, if the Minister of Tourism does get a special cut. You know,
I can't say that.
I want
like
to know
that too.
But I want to know because you see, and that is the biggest problem we have in Grenada. We look at the representatives and at the government in isolation as doing a job for themselves and not for country. Now, when the tourism factor of Grenada is improved, is boosted, we are the ones that benefit. You know, they don't benefit. We are the ones that benefit. Like I said yesterday, a lot of us really believe that ministers of government sit down at night and decide. They have a list of people that don't support them, and they just sit down and decide, I ain't helping this person today, and I ain't helping that person today, and I ain't helping that person tomorrow. I am of the firm belief that there are a lot of people who believe that the government has the time to sit down and just isolate individuals that they are not going to help because of who they support. And it is time that we come away from that belief and understand that when a government goes into office, they work for the country, for the state of Grenada, which involves each and every single one of us, regardless of our political affiliation. And P.T. Martinique, regardless of our political affiliation. They don't see, when they get in there, they don't see color. They can't see color. They can't see political affiliation.
Well, you have to be blinded to that.
They can't say that we're not going to help the education sector simply because the majority of people that it will assist is NDC people. They cannot do that. What they do is they go in there to help country, to help state, to help each and every single one of us. And if we cannot see that, then we have a fundamental problem. And we are never going to see any benefit. We are never going to see any infrastructural growth. We are never going to see any development. We are never going to support anything that the government does because all we see is color. All we see is people and politics. We do not see the benefit for every Grenadian.
Ms. Duncan, granted that we are highly polarized as a small country, granted that, I want to just look back quickly at the minister's statement in that interview and then the follow-up by the deputy leader of GEM. Sometimes, and I want to be very frank and open here. Now, there are some... The minister, I listened, and I think we should really play the piece of the minister again, get it ready to play again, because I believe that a lot of people from all of the comments that has been on social media and so don't listen well. Now, the minister said that there is no need for a total travel ban at this time. Now, we fail to hear that,
No.
At this time, because we are being advised by both international and regional bodies. And of course, as was said before, and I think she repeated, that we also do have that internal capacity as a country to determine if we should or shouldn't. For example, many weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, 2 different cruise ships on different occasions was refused docking rights because the local authorities, tourism and health, felt that they were a risk. One, because there were several people, a dozen plus, I think they said about 2% or more, of the passengers on board that vessel came down with gastroenteritis. Right? And the ministry felt, both tourism and health, after having the discussions, felt that if you have more than 2% of your passengers and crew probably that is down with the gastroenteritis, it means that there must be something about that vessel that won't right, whether it's the sanitation of the vessel or something. And so they denied them the right to dock and they had to turn back. And there was another one subsequently. I don't think it was for the same reason. I think it's again about 2% of the people had flu-like symptoms, and they said no, that is too big a risk, so we would not allow you to dock. So there it was, the local authorities taking the initiative and determining on their own. They did not have to wait for WTO to tell them don't allow that vessel. They didn't wait for the regional organizations to tell them. They did not wait for PAHO or for CAFA or any one of them. But internally, we had the capacity. And the Ministry of Health officials with port authorities and whoever else came together and said, hey, for the benefit, for the safety, for the security of our people, that is too big a risk to take to allow any one of these 2 vessels to dock. So it tells you that when they allow a tourist boat to dock, it's because they would have done the research, they would have gotten the health factors, they would have looked at everything and decide that the risk, there may still be risk, because we are never 100% sure.
Never 100%.
Right? But from all the information that is available at the time, when put together, will give a determination whether or not we can allow this one or not allow that one, right? So the minister was totally correct in saying that there is no need for a travel ban, a total travel ban at this time. Now, futuristically, down the line, WTO or PAHO or whoever, or maybe the regional organization may say, look, we have come to that point or that stage where we believe we should not allow any tourist vessel to come through because the risk has become too high. Or maybe the local authorities, from their own internal assessment, may say, look, I think we have come to the place where we should ban. But you said at this time, it is not necessary. But at this time, quite important. And we're going to play it again so people can listen critically. But you went on further to say that if a total travel ban is implemented, and she was just then explaining that if a total travel ban have to be or is, this is what will happen. it will affect us negatively. Very true. It is a fact that if you put a total ban on all tourist vessels, on all tourism, that the taxi drivers, the hoteliers, the vendors and everybody will be affected negatively. There'd be no revenue for them. Now, the minister did not say that we will not have a total ban because, if necessary, because it would affect the taxi driver. She was just explaining. So then when you have this other person now saying that the minister is attempting to mislead the nation about preparedness. Minister of Tourism never talked about preparedness. She didn't go into that.
Exactly.
That is not our area. That is for the Ministry of Health. Right? She did not speak about readiness to deal with the issue. How does this young lady who spoke on behalf of GEM as deputy leader, who told her that the Ministry of Health is not ready with protective gear? Now, all of the people who goes and board the vessels on a daily basis from the Ministry of Health, are you telling me that they are going on those vessels and check people without protective gear? Are you telling me that when the students...
Do they have proof of that?
When the students, so far, who came into Grenada, that was quarantined, who came from China, and the health officials who met them up front did not meet them with protective gear? Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. So to say that the Ministry of Health doesn't have any protective gear, I think you are going into a zone that you're not so sure about. The minister did not try to mislead anybody because she did not talk about that. Neither did the minister say, and you're coming soon, and I want you to play that thing again. Neither did the minister say that the decisive factor to determine whether or not we'll continue to allow ships or to ban them had to do with how it will impact the revenue. Because those two vessels that were turned back, nothing about revenue was under consideration. What was under consideration, and rightly so, was whether or not those two vessels, based on what was happening on them at the time, posed a risk to the Grenadian people. That was the only factor that was under consideration. It had nothing to do with how much revenue the taxi drivers were going to lose on that day, how much the hoteliers, the restaurants, or people who sell. Yes, we know the impact it would have on them will be negative. But what was foremost in the minds of the officials, health and tourism, was these two vessels poses a risk higher than we are capable of dealing with and would want to deal with, and so it was not fair to expose our Grenadian people to the likelihood that they can contract something as a result of interacting with the people who was on those vessels. So they denied them the opportunity to dock here, right? And these are factors that are factual and we must take into consideration. So trying to make the minister look as though all that she and this government is concerned about is a dollar figure is being unfair, is being untruthful, and is libelous.
It is.
Right? And I believe this person must listen again to the minister's statement. And if you want to say anything, say it in context to what the minister said. And do not make believe. And you see, there is where we have the problem. Yeah. With people always trying to mislead the Grenadian public. Because if we don't listen well, we always get the impression that the government don't care. But how can you tell me the government don't care? That all the government is interested in is revenue, and that revenue is the factor that will determine whether you ban travel or not. That is not what the minister said. And that, because if that was the factor, those two cruise ships, and in fact, the first one, they knew that it was gastroenteritis. Mm-hmm. They knew that. There was nothing about coronavirus. But they said, with 2% or more of your occupants showing up and testing positive for that was too big a risk. Nothing to do with coronavirus, gastroenteritis. They said, no, we're not going to allow you to even dock and stay on dock. Don't come at all. Right? The second one, they had flu-like symptoms. Again, no one was at the time tested positive for coronavirus. But we all know once you have flu-like symptoms, there is a possibility. Yeah. And they said, no, because of that, you cannot come, don't come at all. Right? No consideration about, 3,000 passengers plus crew. Look at how much revenue we can lose. Maybe we should take a chance. So they trying to put into the people's mind that the objective of whether you allow a vessel to dock or an airplane to come has to do with and is linked with revenue and financing and getting money is absolutely nonsense.
It is.
It is about health. It is about protection of our people. And listen again to what the minister said. Please, thank you, Ms. Duncan, for playing it again.
The minister went on to say that the total travel ban is not necessary at this time. However, if a total travel ban was to be implemented, it could seriously affect our tourism sector.
It would affect us very, very seriously. It would affect our economy in general because tourism is a very significant economic contributor to our revenues in the country. And individually, a lot of people from different service sectors in our country, the taxi drivers, the tour operators, even the persons who are self-employed with crafts and so on. There are a number of persons who would be severely negatively impacted.
However, the deputy leader of GEM, during an exclusive phone interview with MTV on Friday, said that the loss of revenue should not be a deciding factor to determine whether or not there should be travel restrictions, as the repercussions could be much worse.
All right, now I want to quickly say that I'm hoping that the people who are supposed to, because there are, let me see, 162 comments under this post, and I've read through 162 of them, and the majority of them are people who just want to comment because they want to have something to say, because none of them really listened. Now, the minister said there was no need to have it at this time.
A total travel ban.
But if we do, this is what will happen as a result.
Yes.
That is what she said, you know.
Exactly.
She did not say we will not have one because when we do one, then the economy will be affected. She said there is no need for one at this time. But in the event that we do, you should know that this is what will be affected.
So it's all about preparing people's mind for what will happen now, when that and if that time never comes.
Now, if the government decides to have a complete travel ban, the same ones who are now complaining are the same people who would turn around and say, oh, well, look how the economy not growing and we don't even get a case. Oh, look how the taxi drivers were put out of a job and we don't even get a case. Oh, look how the woman who making she craft on the side of the road, can't sell nothing. She mortgage can't pay.
She children can't go to school.
And we don't even get a case. You understand? This is what we are talking about when we say read and listen to understand and not to respond. Not everything needs a response. Sometimes in your mind you may be thinking something that is totally untrue, but you need some clarification to help you better understand. Seek clarification. Listen. You know, when we teach comprehension in school, we teach children to read the story 3 times. You read the first time to identify the words in what you have just read. You read the second time for understanding of what you have just read, and you read the third time to answer questions. Now, if you read the first time and you don't read the second and third time, there's no way you could answer questions. There's no way you'd understand what you have just read, and that is one of the biggest problems we have here in Grenada. People do not read to understand. So that is why you would listen to something like this and all you can grasp from it is the fact that the minister say that we're not able to do a travel ban. You don't even hear in this time, and you hear economy. You ain't hear nothing else.
And job losses.
That is the biggest problem we have in our country. We have a caller on the line. Let's take this caller quickly. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hi.
This is where I come back to now again, the statement I made yesterday. I think the government is really too soft. This is a slanderous statement. And it's time that the government should just start. I mean, come on. This is what you say about the minister. Okay, well, she has something up her sleeve because it's only dollars and cents. There are some people they don't even hear, much less to listen. And when you talk about total travel ban, it have to mean, as you say, Miss Duncan, no plane, no flight, no boat should come in or go out of Grenada.
Yep.
It can't even be from one of the neighboring islands.
No way,
Because people
total.
travel. That's right. People travel back and forth. Look, for example, just this week, I think, there was one flight attendant who flew from LA to New York, and she would have contracted the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Now, if the government of Grenada says total travel ban, that means nobody comes, nobody leaves.
Goes.
It can't even be from Trinidad or St. Vincent or St. Lucia, because people travel back and forth.
Of course.
So people must think before they talk. I mean, it's like their brain is under their foot. The minister said there is no need at this time. I really don't understand which part of this time that they don't understand. I think, again, come on. I love the new National Party. It's my party. And I would say, I don't speak straight. I think it's time that the government stop. We love too much. Loving is good. But it's time that you start taking people to court. Don't ask for no apology.
I think
You
there's
start
the
taking
laws
them
in
to court for
place.
statement like that.
There's the laws in place. There's the laws in place because this. I remember while I was in government, we did pass the electronic. What we call it. But it's anyway to do with all of this internet thing, electronic crime act, I think it is. So it's a matter of implementation on certain things. But people just continue to mislead and it kind of just takes away the goodwill of some people. Because they are the minister just saying at this time it is not necessary. But if it becomes necessary, these are the people that will be affected. This is how it's going to affect our country. She never said we would never do it if we have to.
Well, you see, the thing is, first of all, Mr. Bola, common sense is not common. But besides that, you have people who just speak for political purposes.
Yes.
So I don't like the government. I don't like the party which is in power now. So it does not matter what they do. I would have to say something negative.
Negative, yes. That's true.
These people never say anything truthful. A matter of fact, the truth is not even in their vocabulary.
Okay.
Look, last month, somebody would have spread some wrong information concerning the coronavirus on social media.
Yes.
In Los Angeles. Now, I know it's two different countries we're speaking about.
Yes.
And the city would have had the FBI investigate these people. And an investigation, I think, I'm not sure if arrest has been made and stuff already. In Grenada, as you said, I know there was some crime bill, social media crime bill passed, electronic crime bill.
Yes.
Now, I have a problem because the charge is, come on, if I'm not sure what the price, but let's say it's $500. $500, anybody can get $500. Anybody can get a $3,000.
Not anybody, because I don't have that now. I wish I could get that too.
Well,
some people, most
no,
people.
but you can walk and make it.
Yeah,
but the price should be high.
Yeah.
The price, honestly, I think, Mr. Bola and Ms. Duncan, the price should be high.
Okay.
So you charge a person like maybe a $500,000, maybe $1 million or so. So it should be fine and confined. And it should not be or. There should not be fine or and. You understand? No, when you start to do this kind of thing, then people will start to think, because people say things, and again, it is not just Grenada you're speaking to. I am quite here in the U.S. I follow the news every day. Other people follow the news every day, all over the world. So it's not people in the 133 square miles of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. It's the whole world, and they keep going on and on and on. And when there is no consequences, then that means they have, quote unquote, the legal right to just do whatever they want, because I can do that. I can see what I want, when I want, how I want. There will be no consequences. And that is our problem. So the government, I think, in my humble opinion, should step up and just start taking people to court for their mouth. For their mouth.
That they have to look into.
That's right. And hopefully things will change. I mean, to get the information is just one phone call away.
All right.
One phone call away, you get good information, you spread. If the government did something wrong and then you can prove it, okay, fine. You come with documents and you say, well, X, Y, Z is the case. These are my documents. And it has to be authentic documents.
Yeah.
You understand? Not somebody make up something. Now, we have the new today because the Grenada today would have spread false information. We know some years ago. And then again, you still keep going on and on and on with other things. Let's get the right information out. Don't just pick up and go because I don't like Dr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
You understand? Or I don't like this one or I don't like that one. You're hurting your own self. It's like you're shooting yourself in, not even in the foot, in your face. You understand?
Yes.
Because, yeah, it's upsetting for me to be hearing this kind of thing day in and day out. And the thing is, it's not like you could, I could escape it because I always like to read my news.
Yeah.
Or like to listen
Yeah.
and see what's going on. So, and then when I see foolishness and you hear it from both sides is just not matching up. And, well, that's my contribution for today.
Thank
So
you, sir.
have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pola. Before you comment on what the caller is saying, if you have to, I want to read something here, and I want to make note that to all of the individuals who would have commented on various social media pages, right? Two things I want to say. One, if anybody brings you to the court of law, you cannot use "I did not know" as an excuse.
This ignorance of
Just make note of that. That's one. Two, the internet will be the downfall of a lot of us. It is a carbon footprint. The internet has been responsible for a lot of people not having access to jobs, not having good characters. So I must say that. Now remember, all of your comments can simply be screenshot and stored. So even if you delete it after, there's always a way to find proof. Now with that being said, I want to read to you, because we are all about education, right? Yes. We are all about education. So I want to read to you two pieces of law. The publishing of false news. That's the first one. Have you read it before? Whoever, with the intent to cause any public alarm or disturbance, publishes or attempts to cause the publication of any news or telegram which he knows or believes to be false, is guilty of a misdemeanor. That is the law.
Yep.
Now let me also share with you a section of the same Electronic Crime Act that was implemented in 2013 that reads, "A person shall not knowingly or without lawful excuse or justification send by any means of an electronic system or an electronic device information that is grossly offensive and has a menacing character." So all of you that on social media, and I'll read it, that's saying here, only money these dog-faced people care about, and talking about the minister only cares about money, and that the ministers of government are evil, and all of you talking about these things. This is specifically for you. Also, information which he or she knows to be false, but for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, or ill will persistently by making use of such electronic system or an electronic device, or electronic mail or an electronic message for the purpose of causing annoyance or inconvenience, or to deceive or to mislead the addressee or recipient about the origin of such messages. I hope you all listening to this, For the purpose of this section, the term electronic mail and electronic messages means a message or information created or transmitted or received on an electronic system. So you can't say, I didn't write it, but you participated in either sharing, commenting, or contributing, lending your voice, or in this case, your fingers, to something that we know is false or misleading. And it goes further to say, transmitted or received an electronic system or electronic device, including attachments in text, images, audio, video, or any other electronic record, which may be transmitted with the message. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits the offense and is liable to a summary conviction, to a fine not exceeding $1,000, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year, or to both.
Yes.
Now, I hope you are listening, because a lot of you, out of hatred, and we've been speaking about the consequences, a lot of you, as a result of hatred and wishing ill will and wanting to insult and intimidate the government of Grenada, the Prime Minister. You see, as the caller rightfully said, we too nice sometimes. We consider people sometimes, even when they do not consider you. We consider them. And it's a sad thing to see that a lot of us are committing these offenses, breaking the law, and with your same mouth you want to still sit down and talk about corruption. We have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Duncan, when you hear people talk about this government to care, this government is a very caring government, because there is a record to prove where the government is. They care about people and they love people, right? And did you ever hear the main opposition give any advice to the Grenadian people what to do to prevent themselves against this coronavirus? No, they don't have time for that. And if you love people and care about people, you should give information to help you to protect yourself from this virus. But they don't have time for it. I'd like to spread a set of false information about people. And I would say, how could you be a leader that say you care about people and talk about people care? And all you're doing is to encourage people to disrespect the elders. What kind of leader is that?
Yeah.
As parents, we have to encourage children to be good role model, be example, good example. Because I say to let the young people, the youth of our nation know, because the things that you do today and the things that you disrespect, you demonstrate towards the senior could hinder you in your life. Because when you go to get a job in any entities, they'll have a record of you, and they will bring out and show you how you treat people, your seniors. So I want to say to young people for the nation, don't fall for lies. Speak. You know that you don't know something. Get the information. Get the facts. The facts will be the facts. The truth will be the truth. And so because these leaders in main opposition, they have a career already. But you're in search of a career. And if you follow what they do, what they encourage you to do, it could be not a good thing for you, because that could stand against your name. You don't have to say like a man commit a crime and then he go in prison. That is like a stain against him. when you disrespect your seniors, you disrespect people, it is a state against you. So, young people of our nation, let us demonstrate that respect and love for one another. And any people that tell you the wrong, disrespect and to hate people, they don't care about you, and they don't care and love their nation. So, Ms. Duncan, I want to advise the Grenadian people. The truth is in front of you. You elect a government to govern, and they are governing in the right way, and they give you the right information. We know so that when things happen, you are so much an expert. People call it an expert. And they're only expert when they're in opposition. When you give them the opportunity to govern, they have no knowledge of how to govern. So, Ms. Duncan, Mr. Bola, you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you for your contribution, sir.
You know, the caller said something that was so important. Now, we jump it up and down on social media, condemning the government and talking about how they're endangering the lives of people and so on. I am yet to hear Hills and Valley and Gittins Pharmacy and so on saying that they don't have enough supply for demand in things like vitamin C and omega and multivitamins and these things. I don't hear the market vendors saying that we don't have enough supply for demand of fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't hear supermarkets saying that we're running out. This simply means that people are spending more of their time and energy looking for propaganda, spreading propaganda, condemning the government, condemning individuals, than they are spending boosting their immune systems, taking care of the same family members that they're worried about. They're spending more times doing that than going to the pharmacies and getting their vitamins, and going to the market and buying their fruits and vegetables, and ensuring that they are practicing the proper cough and sneeze etiquettes, and ensuring that they are buying their hand sanitizers and so on. And that is very troubling, because a time will come where we may have a case of the virus. And if you are not doing what you are supposed to do as an individual, you're not helping the situation at all. You are actually putting your own life in danger by doing something like that. Because not only are we trying to protect our people here, but you yourself may go elsewhere. You may travel elsewhere outside of Grenada and contract the virus. Now, if your immune system is not ready for it, what happens then? You know, they feel like the government saying, well, eat your vegetables and boost your immune system is a way of them telling them, well, do all you could do it because, you know, we can't deal with this thing. No. The world is telling everybody. Look, America is telling people to ensure that they wash their hands, get the flu vaccine, and ensure that their immune system is up to max. America is doing that. You know, we are not doing anything different from what the rest of the world is doing. But let us all take into consideration that you're all talking about a few people who will be affected if they close the borders. You are wrong. The entire country will become a ghost town, because you have people who depend on international business on a daily basis, not just tourism, but on international business. It means that all of our airport workers will be out of work. It means that all of our people in some certain ministries will be out of work because there is no activity happening within the country. Not just tourism. And these are the things that you must consider. So when the minister was giving all of the cons of in the event and preparing you so that when it does happen, you didn't say, well, I didn't know.
Or the government, you know, they didn't tell us anything. We didn't know what to expect. Everything is being made available to you. But we take it in what context we wish to, because of our hatred and because we feel we want to make somebody look bad. You're not making anybody look bad. You are just not preparing yourself for the eventuality if it comes. I mean, none of us want Corona to come to Grenada. I mean, I want to say none of us because sometimes I also get the belief that the way some people speak and express themselves on social media is as though they're praying and they're hoping that somebody could catch it. As though they feel that if the disease come to Grenada, it's only people who say, well, I love NNP or I vote for them will catch it and others will survive. It is not like that. It may be any one of us. Look, in Iran, for example, the Deputy Minister of Health recently contracted Corona. Right? And they said, the news said that he was front up trying to assist those who already had it. We just don't know. And that's why we need to pray and thank God that our frontline health workers, the ones who put themselves at risk on a daily basis, trying to ensure that the people who crosses our borders do not come and expose it to us by checking them and quarantining them if it's necessary. We need to always say hats off to these people and congratulate them and thank them and hope the very best for them.
Of course, we have our last caller on the line for the morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning, Ms.
And
Kami.
good morning to Mr. Bola. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very, very well, Sister Kami.
Yesterday, listening all this morning,
Yes.
Always tuning in so I don't call.
Yes.
So just allow me to say good morning to Mr. Watt in America and his wife and Bingo and Mr. Gopodine and Mr. Patricia in Canada and, all the Grenadians out there. I just want to say good morning. Grenada is beautiful this morning. Good morning to the Prime Minister, Mr. David, and everybody. And Mr. Bola and Mr. Duncan, the people that is spreading that propaganda, they don't love Grenada.
We believe
They're not good people. They're just evil. They're just evil people. We still have to say what I pray for them.
Of course.
You understand? They're evil. If they love the country, they don't wish this thing. So I don't say them no mind.
Just pray for them.
I don't drag them out.
Yes,
pray
for them.
And they don't have nothing good to say. And they're doing this thing to hurt themselves.
Yes.
Not the positive people in this country. Yes. And I want to say again that the government is doing a lot to Grenada. By me, Brother Bola, there's a big project going on by me.
Yes.
Right in front of the door.
Yes.
Right in front of the door. They're building a school for the children.
Yes.
They grade there.
Oh, right.
And everything. And I see another step. I see a next thing right where the old ice factory was.
Yes.
They have other set of people doing something. I don't call them man name.
Yeah.
I'm glad he come over.
Right.
And I can't regret. I'm glad he come over.
Yes.
Big thing happening, but these are the things that the haters must talk about. If they love this little country, I don't say voting in the party, but look what they're doing.
Yes.
And they know the good work there, but they're not speaking about it.
Well, they won't. So we have to speak about it all the time.
But Grenadians, home and abroad, things is happening, and I thank God, Yes. And you come on board.
Yes.
Come on, graze. If the grass is green, come on, eat. Come on, graze. All the person and everything on the other side.
Yes.
Okay, people.
Yes.
Right now, don't kind of busy, It's slow, but things will pick up.
Thing will pick
because
up.
if people go in the car, go and play the carnival.
Well, yes.
Right? Yes. So you all have a blessed day.
Thank you,
and don't
Sister
worry
Kami.
these people. Don't focus on these people too much.
Yes.
With what is going on with Devon
and Sheldon, yes.
Good morning, Sheldon, good morning. And all the Grenadians out there, right now, we are rather young, Jack,
Yes.
a lot of things happening. And then let we, the positive people that want good for Grenada, pray for our country.
Yep.
Of course.
Prayers move mountains.
Yes, it
so
does.
all wishing for this place, come in here, we go pray.
Pray for it.
We're going to pray for our little island.
Yes.
We will pray for our country.
Yes.
So don't pay them no mind. All of them are on the radio running their mouth and wishing this and lying and putting up things on the media and all them things. Don't focus on them. Let's pray for our country. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Sister Kami. We welcome you and your comments. Thank you very much. Yes.
When they found they see the big container there, where they even put up the office.
Yes.
That is they must talk about.
Okay.
And they must come in by me and see how they create it. And the work started anyway. You understand?
Thank
That's
you.
what I must speak about.
Thank you for
Have a
letting
good
them
day.
know. Have a
And
good day too.
three-story building. How much houses on the hill?
Yes.
You road, you water up there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you don't worry.
We
It's
not.
happening.
We not.
Have a good day.
Have a
Bye.
good one yourself, and you know, Sister Kami is so correct. There's so much good things happening. We need to focus on, and we'll tell you, and we'll update you, and let you know what's happening. I heard the minister announce that come sometime next week or the week after, on the 9th, I believe, exactly, of March, that piece of road going on Maras Hill that broke some time ago, and they had done some temporary work just before the Christmas season to facilitate, you know, the movement of traffic and people. They will start doing the permanent fixing of that. I think it starts on the 9th of next month, so we look forward to that, and several other things. But I just want to leave us with that last thing, you know. Just please remember, people, please remember that the attack on the Chinese and the coronavirus, and talking about the government of Grenada linked with China, and they're allowing Chinese to come in because of money and all this sort of thing, it is simply a political ploy. These people who are attacking the government, attacking the people of Grenada, attacking the Chinese citizens, they're fully aware of the economic gains and benefits. Now people can say about, oh, it's money and this and that. This government is not reckless, is not careless. They're taking all the necessary precaution as was prescribed by the people who have the authority to prescribe it to us. But they do know also of all the projects in the pipeline that are going to come through, and how it's going to reduce further the unemployment situation, how it's going to create economic boost, and how it's going to create wealth for the ordinary people, for the ordinary man, in construction, in tourism, and other areas. So they're doing everything possible to try to see that these things do not come on foot. So they bombard you with all kind of falsehood and libelous information and do all those things. But as we have said, the law is there. The Economic Crimes Act and other laws are there to protect. And if the government and the people of Grenada, it doesn't have to be government, anyone can take anybody to task if they falsify information or put anything on social media that is not true. They can take them to task by bringing them to court, and they can be judged under those laws. So, Grenadian people, I want to thank you very much for listening. I thank those who participated in the program today. I thank you for listening. And I do hope that we are going to take our time, verify information, understand what is truthful and factual from what is not, pick sense from nonsense, and try to analyze for your own self whether or not this government is doing what they should do. And maybe there's a lot more that we can and should be doing. Please feel free, highlight it, let us know. But stop propagandizing, stop sending false information, stop creating hysteria and wanting to cause people to have improper motives by saying and putting on some of the things that you're saying. And let us listen to understand and read to understand, and not just to respond. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.
All right. And in closing, I just want to say this very last thing, Mr. Bola. We all feel like we need to respond and we all need to say something. But we can respond and we can comment without being disrespectful. We can share our opinions with respect for other people's opinions. And we must show respect to our government, the people who work long, hard hours to ensure that we, as Grenadians, are the ones that benefit from all of their hard work. Guys, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you and never about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day.
Stay up to date with all that happens. NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.